It's game week 2 and we are back alive and kicking to see the second round of Premier League fixtures. Join me as we go on a walk around the stadium like we did for game week 1 and have a look at Arsenal's chances this week away at Aston Villa. The sun is shining, the runners are out about this stadium having a good bit of summertime chill. But what we want to look at is how have Arsenal done between game week 1 and game week 2. Fresh off the back of the papers, we have a new player. Mikel Merino has signed for a fantastic transfer fee of about £30 million. Will we see him this week at Villa Park? I highly doubt it. He won't have had time to train, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him on the bench just to get the fans excited. One player I do think that starts though will be Riccardo Calafiori at left back. Zinchenko took the opening slot against Wolves, however Calafiori will have had a week to train with Arsenal and that means he'll be that little bit stronger. Elsewhere, what can we say about game week 1? Well, I think it's fairly clear to see Arsenal were absolutely purring against Wolverhampton Wanderers, a fixture which I suppose many people thought we'd win. I in fact said I thought Wolves would get relegated this season, so I was happy to see Arsenal go pretty much unscathed. No injuries, no major cards, nothing that looked out of the ordinary except the occasional side pass out of the back from Saliba. But I think we'll be good and ready to go against Aston Villa. The attack always needs sharpening up. We know this from pre-seasons. It happens every year. That opening round of fixtures where you predict the big results never really happens. Not that many goals went in. And all those players you thought would get their opening day hat-tricks really didn't. And that's absolutely fine. But as you approach game week 2, you'll start to see which players are clearly clicking. Hands up if you were impressed by Bukayo Saka. Hands up if you were impressed by Kai Havertz. Will this be the start of a beautiful partnership between the two players that yields lots of goals and assists? Bear in mind, 1 game played, 2 goals, 2 assists. This looks fun, doesn't it? But in reality, I think that Wolves game was actually all about that midfield build-up and that transition from midfield to attack. There were plenty online who said that Thomas Partey was a shadow of his former self. And whilst that may be true, the standard he has out there is still very impressive. And I think Mikel Merino coming in will only strengthen what that midfield can deliver. But I expect going into this Villa game to have a way more physical battle in a way that we didn't really see in the Wolves game. So what of Villa? What can we say about them after game week 1? Ollie Watkins looked rusty. For a player who got 0 minutes in pre-season, it really kind of showed. And in their opening game fixture, they had to leave it to their powerful midfield to really kind of cut through and start getting some goals. Not only is Onana one of my favourite players, for that interview he did, "My name's not Andre," but also the guy's big, the guy's huge, he runs all day. He's a player that Arsenal could have done with signing, but for €50 million, I don't know, I think I'd rather have a Mikel Merino. One player who was a bit quiet, who I think could turn up, John McGinn. I think if he forms a bit of a partnership with Onana, they could look quite good this season. But on the whole, my takeaways of Villa were, yeah, they're all right. They're doing okay. They got the 3 points, which is the most important thing. Do they look like the force they were at the end of last season? Possibly not. If you're waiting for John Duran to come on to get you goals, you've maybe not got the depth. But it is only 1 game week, so we'll see how they turn up. Certainly, Villa Park has been a happy hunting ground for Villa in recent seasons, and Arsenal seem to struggle in both home and away games against Aston Villa in a pretty tight-looking Unai Emery side. But we all know Mikel Arteta doesn't like losing twice, and he will have sat down all summer thinking about the games he dropped points in and how he can get those points back this season. I'm highly suspecting that Arsenal go to Villa with a high press game, a high possession game, and some really fluid football from the front 3. A player who went a little bit under the radar, I'd say, in that first game was Martinelli, because he didn't get the stats of goals and assists, but he gives a real outball on that left, which I think if utilised correctly at Villa Park, if we use the width of the pitch, we could see a really fast-flowing, going from defence to midfield to attack quickly kind of style of football. I also, in game week 1, I predicted that Gabriel Jesus would play a big part in our season. In fact, I think I went as far as to say he'd score 15 goals, which you can't do if you're not on the pitch. But with Eddie Nketiah getting his move to Nottingham Forest for £30 million, perhaps now is the time for Jesus to get more minutes, to feel a bit more free, and to maybe put the ball in the net. And who knows, at Villa Park he might even get a starting berth. We'll have to see how it pans out, I guess. Mikel Arteta will have his tactics and think about what he needs. And at the back of the team, the spine that's set up from David Raya in goal through to Gabriel and Saliba, moving through to Rice and going forward from there. It's just pretty solid, isn't it? I said that David Raya would get clean sheets this season, and actually it's made me think that this guy could set a real legacy at Arsenal. There is a chance that he leaves us with more clean sheets than we've ever seen for a keeper in their first 2 seasons at the club. It would be remiss of me not to mention William Saliba's passing out from the back against Wolves. He looked a bit shaky at times, and let's be honest, it is a game week 1 thing. Do I expect him to come back as the Rolls-Royce player that we know and love? Absolutely. Clean sheets are what this Arsenal team are about. But we're not in that old-fashioned tradition of 1-0 to the Arsenal. It's 2-0, it's 3-0, etc. And I think that tight defence at the back will be tested against Villa. But I don't think you're going to see the likes of Ollie Watkins breaking the offside line like we did last season. So what do I think of Arsenal going up to Villa Park? What predictions are going into my score sheet this week? For game week 2, I'm predicting pretty big stuff from Arsenal. I think it's going to be an away win. I think it's going to be a 3-0 away win. I think we'll blow Villa out of the water in a way that they haven't suspected we would do. And I just think we'll catch them napping. They looked a bit too rusty for me, and I don't think 1 week is enough to save them from this Arsenal onslaught and this big attack. So it's a 3-0 Arsenal win. Now, score predictions are a big thing this week. I featured on Board Drawers podcast with the Board Drawer 5. Let's go inside and we can talk through the other fixtures that feature in game week 2. A quick time out. Thierry and me think you should subscribe right now. Click link, enjoy the bell. Ding! All right, you cheeky badgers, it's Charles here, and I've come to give you my Board Drawer 5s. Yes, I've been asked to give my predictions on how this weekend's fixtures pan out. If you want to see my credentials, check out my socials, but also have a look at the Board Drawer Fantasy Football League. That's right, this guy's top. And long may it continue. My predicting power knows no boundaries. Arsenal are winning the league, Spurs aren't. Let's get on with the actual results. First up, in the early kick-off in game week 1 of Board Drawer 5s, it's Brighton at home to Manchester United. Although both teams got full marks in game week 1, I actually think Man United getting a 1-0 win against Fulham at home was a better result than Brighton getting an away win at Everton. I don't think this Everton team are up to much, and I thought Brighton were maybe a bit flattered by the scoreline. However, for Manchester United, they were very solid at the back, and they've also got De Ligt coming in, a game on. I think he'll add a little bit of class in those centre-back pairing, although I'm not sure who he'll be paired with, but I can see Man United carrying on in a strong defensive vein, and I see this as an away win, 2-1 to Manchester United. A high-energy Brighton, but I just don't think they'll cut down United, and they'll leave themselves open at the back. Mark my words, Man United are going to challenge for a Champions League position, and I say that as a proud Arsenal fan. Brighton, on the other hand, I think they will struggle as the season gets deeper, and I think the first time you'll see that is game week 2. Up second in Board Drawer 5s is Crystal Palace at home to West Ham. How disappointing were both of these teams in their first game? I think I expected a bit more from Palace, and I suspect they'll be a bit better in this second game, gelling a bit more, Mateta back at good fitness, and largely Glasner getting a bit more time with his players should pay off. However, West Ham's activity in the transfer market could prove very good. If those players can gel, maybe they can turn up and give Palace a bit of a game, but I think on the whole, it's a game too soon for that West Ham team. It's 2-0 to Crystal Palace, but I think the game will be tighter than that scoreline. One thing I do know is those Palace fans will be absolutely buzzing to get a game against West Ham under the belt. Third up in the Board Drawer 5s, it's Tottenham at home to Everton. And Tottenham could not have asked for better fixtures than Leicester away and then Everton at home. Coming up first for an Ange Postecoglou side, who we all know run on fake confidence and then turn Spursy by the end of the window. I expect Tottenham to get a big win here. I think Everton are absolute dog meat this season and will be close to relegation. Although I don't think Spurs will have it all their own way. They are a bit leaky at the back and they might come under the cosh in the middle of the park, where I'm not quite sure if Archie Gray is going to fit in as well as the fans think he will. Tottenham will get the win. I think it'll maybe be a bit iffy. I think it'll be a 2-1 win with some controversial goals thrown in. Well done Spurs, I guess. Game number 4. In the Board Drawer 5s, It's the game of the weekend, if I'm honest. It's Aston Villa at home in the evening kickoff against Arsenal, a bogey team in seasons gone by, but I think Arsenal are the class act of 24-25. I am fully expecting Arteta to learn from the mistakes. I reckon he's been sitting on that defeat for months now, just working out exactly what he needs to change. And this Villa side don't seem to have the potency and confidence they had. They've maybe not enjoyed having the summer off. And I think you'll find Arsenal are just a cut above them. I'm expecting Arsenal to win this, and I'm going to go quite big. I'm going to say it's a 3-0 Arsenal win. Although Villa will be dangerous, I just love this Arsenal defence right now. Another clean sheet for David Raya. And finally, to top off my ball draw fives, it's one of the last kickoffs of the weekend. It's Wolves at home to Chelsea. What a snooze fest. The Pedro Neto derby, I guess. I think Wolves are going down, and I said that quite proudly in all of my videos so far. I've also said that Chelsea will click at some point, and against Man City it's hard to tell how good or bad they were. What I do know is that Chelsea will overpower Wolves in this fixture, and Enzo Maresca, he looks a bit lost and he doesn't know his team, but he will know a little bit better by the time this fixture comes around. There won't be Sterling in the side, but I expect goals from Chelsea. I'm going to go 3-1 to Chelsea, although I think it will end up getting end to end. But unfortunately for Wolves, you're back in the Championship next season. And there you have it. There's my board draw 5 for game week 2 of the Premier League season. I've been Charles. Thank you for these predictions. Do leave your comments down below if you think you can do better. Otherwise, I shall enjoy being top of the leaderboard for the entirety of the season. Peace.